My name is Catherine Kopek and I'm 19 years old.
The physical, emotional and sexual abuse. But that's not in your family, is
No,
that
it isn't. I've just had friends who have been affected by it and I've seen the aftermath of it, so like it almost affects me.
Was there anything that you could do for them?
Very little, because most of it I found out, a year or two later, so it was all sorted. But even though I've just heard about, a couple of friends, I'm sure there's many more that are suffering in silence out there. So it's almost something I've become passionate about. I don't post on Facebook about it because I don't think that's the right platform to talk about these things. I think it's better to talk about these things when they come up and when we can talk about them.
Did you see from the outside what was going on?
I've only known one person who's been sexually abused, but it was mainly emotional abuse and 1 or 2 cases of physical abuse as well. There might have been, I think there was one case where it was actually to the person itself, but it was mainly between the parents.
And that was affecting
it was
the
affecting
children.
them because, because they were seeing it and they were just frustrated.
Assumptions on our generation. What's your thing on that?
Our generation seemed to cop a lot of slack from older generations because we're always on technology. The amount of hours we work, study, we just seem to get negativity regardless of what we do, and I really don't like that attitude because realistically older generations haven't lived our lives. Older generations have not lived a life where they've had technology embedded in everything they do and they're constantly on a computer, and it's not necessarily by choice as well. That's something that I think we often forget. My school, when every kid in school has to be on a computer during school because that's just how school is done now, but also our homework is also on technology. And then to relax, okay, technology might be used to relax as well, but that might also be an alternative to reading a book.
Look, I also agree that every generation is not going to agree with the generation before.
Yeah,
that's just
that
normal.
is true.
So how would you counteract that? Somebody actually said that to me. Young people are all lazy, they're always on the computers.
I think I'd actually tell them the truth and say, well, how do you know that we're always on the computers? And computers are a part of our life.
But the only thing I don't agree with, I still think you need to have a real life as well.
I agree with your generation completely on that because there is a balance that still needs to happen.
Overprotective parents, I like this one, no independence. How were your parents?
They're okay, but I know worse parents. For example, last night I was just coming home from 18th and I was just catching the tram home because it was in the city, and my parents were away for the weekend and my mum was worried about me catching the tram home because I would die. Simple things like that, like we've lost our independence, and I get that there are incidents in this world now and they're highly publicised as well because we have the internet. News can be, if there's an abduction, we can hear about that within half an hour of the abduction happening. The thing also is my younger brother's fine with catching the tram home at 2 a.m. because he'll be less likely to be hurt. Unfortunately, that's just sexist in society anyway.
Would you be able to protect yourself?
I think I will be able to. We actually had to do a self-defense course at school. Keys, heels, they're great self-defense mechanisms because they're weapons, realistically, when you use them correctly. I can't believe how overprotective some parents are. They cotton wool wrap their kids so much that they can't even go to the shops when they're like 15. I knew people who couldn't even literally walk across the road to Hungry Jack's from the school after school and have a burger with friends because their parents thought they were going to die crossing the road. And catching a tram 3 or 4 stops, walking 200 metres, that was a big deal because, there's danger in the world. And I get that there is danger. And also, like, I know parents who track their kids' phones so that they can literally all day, they just watch where their kid is so that they can keep them out of harm. But at the end of the day, it's good to know where your kid is. But if you're at work and you're watching your kid, what are you going to do if they're in a different place?
Current events and news, what do you like in the current events and news?
I just think it's really important to stay up to date with what is happening in the world, because if you don't, you're pretty naive to what's going to happen in the future, and it's really hard to backdate what happens if you miss something. So I personally probably check the news maybe 3-4 times a day.
Well, that's good. Keep informed.
Yeah.
So what's the topic that you're on at the moment?
North Korea. I like North Korea. I think the Olympics will be really interesting because they're obviously in South Korea at the moment, and how the relationship between North Korea and South Korea will test out to be. I know, I saw this in the news this morning actually.
They're having a bit of a civil war there, aren't they? Like people can't go from one to the other or things like that?
It's really scary. It's a really scary place in North Korea. I had a friend who actually visited 6 months ago and it was really scary, barbed wire everywhere. Even so, North Korea and South Korea just last night walked together at the flag ceremony at the Olympics together, which I thought was very interesting. But previously I feel like they haven't, like even at face value, they haven't been in a peace level at face value.
So you feel it's artificial? It's not real? It's very artificial. If I was a genie, I gave you a special wish or a dream, what would you like? But it can't be money or more wishes.
I think it would be pretty selfish to have a wish for yourself when there's so much wrong with the world. I think this wish is impossible, but I think my wish would be to resolve all the world's conflict.
Your special message for young people?
Be yourself, and if you want to do something, you pursue that dream, because at the end of the day, you're the only one who's going to really push that dream to be a dream.